All right, right here, we have to consider moving our stop because it's swept below. I'm wanting it to push lower, but it could absolutely reverse right here because we did sweep below. Okay? I'm putting my interest level just a little bit lower because of where my position is. So I'm hoping for another push lower. You could take some off, and it's not a bad idea to do so. I'm going to take 2 contracts off. Main reason is because we swept below. Now it could have permission to make a new high. And that's the biggest thing that I want to avoid. I'm going to set a take profit there at the 15-minute fair value gap. And I will set a second one there as well. I really don't like that inversion. I want to see that inversion fail and not move higher. It could sweep that candle. It could sweep that small little candle there. That's okay right here. The 944 candle. But that's all I would want this inversion to do. I don't want it to continue higher. For obvious reasons. Matt, no, the nervous isn't about too much money. It's about wanting to perform in front of people. That's really honestly what it is. It's wanting to be right in front of 220 people. But I'm just telling the truth. That's just the truth. I'm not gonna fake what's going on. It's not gonna change what I'm doing here. I just don't see a reason to push higher here. I mean, I would want it to come a little bit lower to then push higher. It could absolutely go higher. I just don't know if it's going to be right here or not. London low's way down here. Do you see how low that is? If we get some real displacement, that's where I'm going to hold my runner to. See if it wants to give it to us. I'm going to put this right at the high here, because that's when my trade technically would be invalid. There's no news. We're in the macro right now. I guess it could be waiting for Trump. But in my opinion, I would want to see it drop before Trump to prepare for that Trump announcement or whatever it may be. My logic is this, is that we just made a high here. There's no liquidity above this high right now. As soon as we create a failed swing high and we move lower at the moving away, we now have more liquidity. Sure, there's some liquidity, but now we have more liquidity. Buyer or sellers are thinking, oh, I now want to go short. I'm going to put my stop right above here because this moved away. As soon as we move away and we hit a key level, this now becomes a potential target because we have a high and a failed swing high with shorts thinking that this is a great place to put their stops. So they place their stops here. They're going to go something like this. They're going to go short. They're thinking it's going to go all the way down here to London low. And instead what happens, it comes down here, it sweeps those levels, and then it does a bigger move here. So what we're playing, at least what I'm attempting to play, is the fact that we've created a high. There's no liquidity, or not very much liquidity up here. Once we move away from here, it gives us more liquidity for us to target later on. That's the idea that I'm doing. And it's off of this breaker and inversion that we took that based off of. Now, we did sweep liquidity, so it did fulfill part of its responsibility by grabbing liquidity on the downside. But I was just, honestly, was hoping for a little bit further to these 15-minute fair value gaps. That's what I wanted to see. Here's 15-minute. It basically wicked this 15-minute candle right there. You can see that right there. I wanted it to come down to this area right here. So that's what I'm still betting on, is that it's going to reach for this 15-minute and 5-minute fair value gap before it considers moving higher. That's what this trade idea is based off of. Those things. And so far, I like that little push away. Let's see if it holds and continues. That's what I'm calling a failed swing to the upside. And then it makes these lower lows. How low? I don't know. That's why I'm going to leave a runner on to see if it in fact wants to go to the London low or not. It may not. That's aggressive. Do you see that? There's my win, folks. Okay? I have one contract left, and now I'm going to let that run as low as it wants to go. Now, could it turn right here? Yes, it absolutely could turn. It hit, it did its responsibility. Do I want to move my stop to break even? The answer is yes. Unfortunately, there's a good chance of getting stopped out right here. So what I'm probably going to do is put this right at the top. I would love for a bigger move lower. So I'm going to let it do its retracement here. And then once we make a lower low, I'm probably going to move my stop to break even. And that's going to be that. So if we make this lower low here, I'm going to put in my break even and try to follow this lower. I don't want to move it too fast because look at that aggressive candle. That's an aggressive candle that I was anticipating was going to happen. I'm telling you guys, this stuff works. The biggest thing that's in front of, the biggest obstacle in our way is ourselves. Fears, not wanting to lose, not wanting to admit loss, moving too quickly. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Let's see if we can see how we stopped and closed. Look at that candle right there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that, folks. Let me delete that. Look at how we stopped right at that 5 minute. Okay. That's the 1 minute. Did we close on that? No, we haven't closed yet on the 5 minute. Victor, I'll get in that here in a second. Okay, what I want to see happen right here is us to close and move lower right here. I want it to drop back lower right here. And I want it to do it with aggression. If we can't make a lower low, I'm probably going to close that position. Or, excuse me, I'm going to move my stop. Actually, I will move my stop to break even now. Because I do not, from the entry of this, I want it to aggressively move away. We're at 9 o'clock or we're at 10 o'clock. This is the time that I want it to aggressively move lower. So I don't want it to flash higher because it's 10 o'clock. So positions at break even, allowing it to run lower. We'll see if it wants to go. We're right at the breaker. This is the point where it turns and runs our way. Now, what did it create here? Look at this. Remember what I said? There's now liquidity here. It could turn and run that way. I'm just betting it's not quite yet. That's what I'm hoping, at least. And if it is, well, great. I have my stop in profit by a couple ticks to cover my commissions and to not go negative on that. But wouldn't it be nice right in the next 30 seconds, we just get a massive candle lower? We're set up. We can just sit. We can sit and wait. We can receive that big drop that's coming our way. All the way down to the 4 hour. I would love for that. That looks like a good level. The 4 hour. Right at 10 o'clock. Which will have a new candle here in 14 seconds. We aggressively move this way right into that fair value gap. That'd be nice. Let's see what happens. Come on, make that lower low. There it goes. If this candle turns green, I'll close my trade because it is 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, there tends to be lows and highs made. So if it turns green, I don't want that to be the low and it run back and stop my out. I'll take my trade in profit. But if it wants to continue lower here, I'll take that as well. What I don't want is this to close above that 10 o'clock candle. I want it to make a new low. I'm telling you guys, right at 10 o'clock is very important to pay attention to, is how the 10 a.m., 10:01, 10:02, how those candles print. If it makes a lower low here, there's possibilities of lower lows. If it doesn't, there's a higher probability it's going to reverse. For a short period of time, long period of time, I don't know. But I want to see that lower low. There it goes. There it goes. All right, we got a lower low. Now, same thing for this one. We want to see another lower low. Right around that 10 o'clock time, it could just reverse at within that, first 2 or 3 candles, and that's what we're trying to pay attention to. Well, I would like it to hit this 4-hour fair value gap. That would be nice. I'm going to sell it there. I'm happy with that. It can make a lower low. I didn't want it to come back up, hit me at break even. Did I sell early? Yeah, probably. Probably. Did I have as much patience as I did yesterday? I don't think so. I didn't have as much patience as yesterday, did I? That's okay. All right. Either way, it's a win. Nice, solid trade. What did we get from entry to profit? What did we get? We sold right here. Where did I get in at? I got in right here. Somewhere around there. So that was a 50 handle move, folks. That was 50 handles. I can't complain about that. Let me find out what the exact thing is here. Hang on. Oh, where it is, right here. Okay, show fills, apply, save. All right, so entry was at 24.37, 37.50, and my final sell. No. So 32 handles. 32 handles. It wasn't 50. 32. I got in lower than I thought I did. I thought I got that on that push lower. Apparently it put me in at the bottom of that candle. That's not what I remember. But it looks to be what it is. So 32 handles on that trade. Not bad. I'm not going to complain about that. That gets the job done. Taven, awesome. Way to go. Okay, so a couple things. Let's do our daily affirmation. We've hit our target. If you appreciate that trade commentary, hit the like button for me. I greatly appreciate it. But we're going to go ahead and do our daily affirmation for today. I kind of couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So I did both. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do Romans 8:31 or Matthew 9:23. So I did both in them. So the affirmation for today is God is for me. Nothing can stand against me. I believe without limits, and my faith makes the impossible possible. If God is for me, who can give? I want to emphasize something here. If God is for me, who can be against me? Okay? What does it mean? Who can be against me? Who can stand against me? I want you to understand, it does not mean that people are not going to come up against you. It means they won't be able to stay standing. They will bend their knee. The enemy specifically. I'm not saying that we have to be this proud, chest puffed out, we're going to, do all this and, our attitude. No, we approach everything with humility. But the reality is that if you believe the Word of God, you believe the Word of God is true, then therefore, whatever is standing against you will fall. It will bend its knee. You just have to believe that the impossible is possible more than your circumstances currently. If you believe that, man, I had a losing trade, I'm never going to get this. If you believe that, that's probably going to be your future. If you have a losing trade, but say, you know what, this sucks, but this isn't the end of my story. It's not going to stay this way. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to continue on. I believe the promises God has given me. I believe this is possible. If that's your belief, then nothing will be impossible for you. It all begins. I remember, and I've shared this before, when I was at a real estate seminar. I go to these real estate seminars because I grab my pen and notepad and I'm like, oh, give me the strategies. Tell me all the good stuff. Tell me the entry levels. Tell me the entry models. Tell me when I need to get in, when I need to get out. Tell me all the good stuff, because that's what matters. Because if I have the perfect strategy, if I have the perfect model, I'm going to make so much money. And every time I would go to these events, guess the first thing they talk about? The first thing they would talk about is your mindset. And I would be like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What the heck is this? Why are we always talking about mindset? Just give me the good stuff. Let's skip all this. And then, as I heard it more and more and more, and I went deeper into my journey and commitment to excellence, it dawned on me. It doesn't matter what strategy you have. If your mindset is a failure mentality, if your mindset is a lacking mentality, if your mindset is never enough mentality, it's not going to work for you. Why? And what do I mean by never enough? You might be saying, well, that's not me. Well, let me ask you this. When something doesn't work the first time, do you throw in the towel? If something doesn't work the first, second, or third time, do you give up and go find something new? That's a lacking mentality. That's a give up mentality. Do you think that the people that are teaching you these strategies, teaching you these models, teaching you how to read the market, figured out on day one? No. As they did it, things clicked, and then something else clicked, and then something else clicked, and it added, and it added, and it continued to add to this now what is, here's my model. Here's how I look at the market. Learn from me. Hey, it works for me, and it's true. But some person out of the blue coming in and taking that model isn't going to see profitability right away. Because you have to make it your own. You got to see it yourself. You have to believe it yourself. You have to go through the fire yourself. When you see it fail, you got to answer the question, why did this fail this time? What do I need to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Or was my mindset wrong? Or what, did I get in early? Was I impatient? Is this not the right conditions? You got to answer all of those questions. And as you go through that process, eventually you're going to get to the point where you'll have that success mentality, and it helps you persevere that drawdown period, that period where you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and now you make it to the other side because of your mentality, because of the way you think. This is how you see it through. You change the way you think. You have to believe. This is why I do these affirmations every day. There's our 4-hour fair value gap, by the way. Boom, hit it. This is why we do that. Because if you can't believe this, if you can't believe the word of God, you can't believe your Father who gives good things to his children, and you don't believe that, you need to go back to the source. You need to get your heart right. You need to get your relationship right with the Lord. You need to believe that he's a good Father. Believe that his promises are true. And then use that as your foundation to build off of. But if you're not going to do that, you can't do that, or you think God's not a good Father, that he just, why did God do this? See, it always happens to me. It's like all these other Christians are doing great things, but then me, it just never works out. God just mad at me. He's punishing me for this. That's not